Well, we'll get this thing kicked off. This should be in the neighborhood of 8 or 9 episode number of Tall in the Saddle podcast. Today we have a guest that we are familiar with and friends with, but we're going to be able to ask questions.
You're familiar with.
Yeah, I guess so.
I just met him. I think I met him once.
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Hopefully you'll be familiar at the end.
Maybe.
We'll be able to ask questions just like anybody else would ask and not have the foreknowledge. But for my sake, I want to pray before we start and just kind of settle down a little bit. We've all been, well, I can speak for us. We've been running and gunning. I know your schedule's pretty busy too. So I just want to kind of settle down before we get started. So Lord, thank you for this Friday that we get back in the podcast room and talk to interesting people and discuss topics that we don't always get to do during the week. I'm reminded of the word of the week this week is thankfulness, and I am thankful that you have made a way and that you make a way every day. Help us see that way and take the steps in the right direction in that way and not choose our way. We love you and we thank you for another opportunity to do Tall in the Saddle podcast. And I just pray for a good conversation today with our guest. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So today we have Marko Galbreath of T4 Tactics, former police officer in the Florida region that I'm aware of. Local guy currently and has been for a while. Had been a friend of mine for probably, time flies, but maybe 10-ish years back from the YMCA.
20 years,
yeah.
And we met at the Y. You met at the Y. So it may be,
more than that, maybe
12. Yeah, maybe more than that. Yeah.
So Marko is a very influential and staple kind of guy in the community, and we'll dive more into that with his business that he runs. I've always looked up to Marko as a man of wisdom and common sense. We share a lot of the same ideas. I appreciate his delivery a lot of the times on how he articulates his views on anything, really. He often covers difficult and maybe high stress topics based on his career and his business. So I'm excited to dig in today and ask some questions. And like I said, Jake and I are going to get the opportunity to kind of be curious today because I know a little bit. Jake knows probably less, but it's nice to be in a situation where you don't feel like you're asking questions that you already know the answers to some of them. So I'm excited to see what this looks like today. So without further ado, I will introduce Marko to you guys, and we're happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Been looking forward to it since we talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marko's been on property a few times, helping us out for different things, and so he's not a stranger to the property, but it's first time in the podcast room.
First time in the podcast,
obviously.
That's right. That's
nice.
Right.
Well, we're happy to have you. So what I want to start with is your childhood up to adult life, your career, just to kind of get an idea in a nutshell of how Marko came about.
Yeah. Well, at 3 months old,
I knew we were going.
You're like, we're going to be a while.
It felt like a counseling session. I was like, tell us about your childhood.
Yeah. I've been on a few of those.
Born and raised in Daytona Beach. My dad was an optometrist. My mom helped him. I went to a Christian school, which was our church, Whitechapel Church of God in South Daytona, Florida. And then I went to Warner Christian Academy, which is the same building. Very low budget, very, fighting for money all the time. We had to do fundraisers, didn't have air conditioning.
In Florida.
In Florida, yeah. It was, but it was a really good school, and I learned a lot. The message was there. The learning growth was there. So I went there first through ninth. And then my 10th and 11th grade year, I decided to go to a public school just because I wanted to see something different. My parents said, you know what, do it. So I went to a public school, learned a lot there, met a lot of really good friends. And then my senior year, I just went back to the private Christian school because that's everybody I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so I actually decided that day that school started, I want to go back to Warner. And I loved the private school. It was great. A lot of opportunities, a lot more opportunities at that private school than, I'm sorry, at the public school than at the private school, just because of money. We didn't have a lot of sports teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So graduated June of 84. December of '84, I'm in the police academy. So it was boom, boom. My 11th and 12th grade year, I was a police explorer with South Daytona Police. And that's kind of like a cadet program. Yeah. It's kind of like a cadet program. You don't carry a gun. You don't do traffic stops, but you do a lot of ride-alongs. You can sit with dispatch. You're learning everything.
It's a cool thing. The fire department, some places kind of does a little something like that, but it's a good thing.
They mainly teach you how to cook and sleep, or is that?
So fired.
It has to be done.
Shot fired. That's why you're in between us.
Well, so I haven't been a fireman for a very long time, so none of that stuff actually even.
But that's camaraderie.
It is.
You know, and if people don't understand that cops and firefighters go at each other all the time with little jokes like that.
Like the Army and the Marines.
Exactly. But when the time comes to work together, it's you got each other's backs. You know, we had some really good times with the fire department that I worked with. You stop by and visit. It's good camaraderie, but there's a lot of teasing and joking. And that's part of the brotherhood. But when I was a police explorer, I was mentored by some older, seasoned guys that really taught me, don't judge skin color. Don't stop somebody or don't judge somebody differently because of what they did, skin color. And then they taught me, not everybody needs a ticket. Not everybody has to go to jail. Because when you're a young cop, you got that badge. You know, I'm 19 years old and I got the power to take somebody's constitutional rights away, you know, legally. And you have a lot of power. So I think that's what really got me far in my career was those guys at a very early age mentoring me, chill out, treat people like humans because they are. South Daytona was only 5 square miles. Daytona Beach is huge. Port Orange that borders it. There's a bunch of little cities around there. It's kind of like Forest and Bedford. And South Daytona was 5 square miles, and the community had our backs. It was only when I was there, it was like a 17-man woman department. So everybody was tight. So there was a lot of learning there. And so I really attribute that to those guys and girls.
That seems like a really unusual mentality, or maybe a progressive mentality for the mid 80s.
Yeah.
In South Florida.
Yeah, it was because we had the Cuban boat lift crisis, bring a lot of cocaine and a lot of violence into South Florida.
I would have expected a lot more racism.
Yeah.
In that time period.
South Daytona, we didn't. It was, like I said, it was a tight knit community, and we didn't. I wasn't. You know, I worked with some officers that were racist. But they were also just stuck on themselves, and they were just mean to everybody. Yeah. You know, I mean, they're out there. But we'll address the elephant in the room. There are police officers out there that I worked with throughout my career, and I'm thinking, why are they doing this? It's not, you know, I don't know. I never understood the meanness.
I had a conversation with someone already this morning, like almost before the sun came up, about what I was thinking about on the way into work. And I don't know why I was thinking about it, but during this season, holiday season, seeing human beings, seeing the humanity there. And I was thinking about like the times Jesus was either in front of groups or in a group of people, and they gave us his perspective looking at the humanity of the situation. Right. Someone could have been dead. Someone could have been dying. Trials could have been going on. But you get a glimpse into his life of how he looked at groups of people in only the way he could really do it perfectly. Right. But seeing the humanity there. And a lot of the times it broke his heart. Right. You can clearly see that. I think there were probably times where he, recorded or not, where he was happy and it lifted his spirit. Right. But my prayer was like, give me the ability through this season and into the next one to see individuals and groups of people through like his view of humanity and not mine, because mine sucks a lot of the times. It
jaded.
Does.
Yeah,
it's jaded.
Mine does. It's jaded.
It's opinionated.
Right.
And it's hard, and that's a hard thing to do. And it's not you; it's spiritual, right? So, that's important that people were able to pour that into you. I didn't get a lot of that per se. I did appreciate being in the older group of the people who trained me, or either retired, dead, or whatever. Right. And I think about like the mindset of people training people now, and I'm like, ooh. Yeah. You know, we need a little bit more of that old school Andy,
we do need the
Andy
old
Griffith.
Yeah.
Simple times.
Right. I think it's important for young men to spend a lot of time with old men, because young men tend to be very fast and very quick, both in their decision making and in their action. And old men have enough experience to say, yeah, just ease up.
Yeah. Is it really important?
Yeah.
What's really important?
Right.
Do we really need to go there? Yeah, I think that's important. I'd love to see a mentoring program with police departments where the old retired guys come in and ride with these new officers for just a couple days and say, you know what? Look at this in this perspective. Yeah. And just be nice. Just you get, all people want is respect. I teach the de-escalation, and it's all people want is respect. And you can set that tone within a matter of seconds on your first approach, whether it's how you look in uniform or what you say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Ouch. That's been my motto this year. I've heard that more this year.
About what?
Me.
What you say.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
I've been beat over the head with that this year.
And I talk about it in the de-escalation classes. If you've got on a Valor Farms shirt and I don't know you, and I walk in and I say the same thing, if I say Valor Farms, that makes you, okay, he doesn't like Valor Farm, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like me. But if I come in and say Valor Farms, I said the same thing, but the tone is, okay, he likes me. Right there, you've either started it on the right foot or the wrong foot.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, your perception is very, very powerful.
You can call customer service sometimes, and when they answer the phone, I'm not getting anywhere with this person.
Right.
You just know. And I'll hang up and call back.
Send me to the manager.
Exactly. You can tell. It's that tone.
Wow.
My wife's a high school teacher, and this.
Oh my goodness.
She does a lot of the same stuff with her students, and her big thing, like, her students love her. She's very much a mentor to them because she offers them respect at the beginning and expects respect from them.
Yeah.
And that give and take, and she's not laying down the law and trying to send everybody to detention if she can de-escalate that situation.
That's right.
In the moment.
That's right.
It's real similar. So let's get back to your story. We got a little sidetracked, but so you started out right into the police academy, right with the older guys, and then what?
Then I immediately got hired. South Daytona, where I was a police explorer. I went to the police academy, and they pretty much said, as soon as you turn 19, you got a job. So it was easy. I didn't have to search around. And that was my my high school and my church were literally one block over. So that's my hometown. I 5 square miles. I know everything. Been doing ride-alongs. But the room for growth wasn't there. They didn't have motors. They had they had 2 detectives, no narcotics unit, no canine. And so I didn't realize that when I first went there.
Didn't have motors, like didn't have police cars?
I'm sorry, motorcycles.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
And that was one of the things. Chips, Ponch and John. Adam 12. That was my big mentor, and my goal when I wanted to be a cop was I'm going to get on motors. We call it motors. I'm going to get on the motorcycle unit one day. They didn't have it, but South Daytona had been so good to me. I wanted to work there.
Yeah.
But then after 4.5 years, I realized there's no room to grow. I can't get a specialty division.
It's probably like a really great, almost a college experience, though.
Yeah.
That kind of controlled.
Yes.
Learn the ropes, learn the process.
Yes. It was a great place to learn, but it was a great place to be mentored.
Yeah.
But I looked back and I was like, I don't see myself advancing, promotion, special division. So I left there and went to Port Orange Police Department. Port Orange borders Daytona Beach to the south. And then my career really took off just because the bigger department. So I I mentor the younger kids that want to get into police work, go big, start somewhere big. I think South Daytona did me well because I was put under the wing of a lot of experience. But I tell the people that want to get into it now, go big because you'll get that opportunity.
Well, and it's a little bit different now, too, for a lot of the kids going in because they're going in at 22, coming out of college, whereas you were going in at 19.
Yeah.
That's where, like I said, that South Daytona was a college experience for you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And probably better if you'd have gone to a big operation at 19. You think it would have gone differently?
It could have. Yeah, it could have, because those guys at South Daytona protected me a lot. Like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, and get this kind of equipment, and do this, and take this class. Yeah, and maybe a big department, you might not have had that opportunity. I might not have that opportunity. I could have gotten lost in the mix.
Yeah. So you went to where?
So I went to Port Orange, which is a much bigger city. I got hired on as a motorcycle officer, which they don't do that, which made a lot of the other guys mad. But I had experience,
Right.
And so I went to motorcycle school, worked on the motor unit for 2 years, then was transferred into narcotics unit, and I loved that. Narcotics is the best. Jeans
Especially
and a
in
t-shirt.
Florida.
Oh, in Florida, yeah. With all the clubs and the bars and that brings drugs,
Yep.
you know. So I spent a long time in the narcotics unit. That was the major case unit, special investigations unit, and we were able to. I like that because you can use your imagination. You start from somebody saying that house right there is dealing dope. And you got to use your imagination on how to get in there. We used to have trash pulls. So, and this is no secret, they're doing it all over the place. But we would wait for them to put their trash out at the street, and that's under Florida law. It's been discarded.
Right.
So we would ride with the trash guys. We pick up their trash. We go through their trash. If we try to find a syringe or any kind of drug paraphernalia, if we get 3 positive garbages, that's a search warrant on the house.
Okay.
So you use your imagination. You find these drug dealers and you go out to a club and meet them and start talking to them.
Very glamorous job.
Yeah.
Drug
right.
dealers' trash.
Right. Going through somebody's, oh, it was bad. Maggots. And I mean, there were literally times we're on the back of the trash truck. We'd bring a table or on the back of our pickup truck, and I'm, it's just from days of, druggies are nasty people anyway, but dirty diapers, food that's just rotten. And, but you look in there, you say, oh, look at this, and you can learn a lot about somebody with their trash.
Yeah.
So then I was promoted to a corporal, which put me back in patrol. Then I went back to narcotics as a corporal, got promoted for the Special Investigations Unit as a sergeant. And then my last 7 years, I got moved back to motorcycle unit. And we had a Marine unit, a boat unit. I supervised that. But I really enjoyed it. It was a good career. I'd do it. I wouldn't do it again now. I hate to say that. But at the time, the status of the country, it was the best career ever. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that carries you into like adult life, obviously, and through how many years were you in like that department?
22.
22.
Yeah, we had a really good retirement. It was a private pension, so you do 20 and you're good to go.
That's how Roanoke's fire department. Well, I did 6 or 7, but
before we get too far away, I got a question. I've got a lot of family that are in law enforcement, and one of the things that I've noticed is that, especially in like the narcotics and the vice units where you're doing a lot of undercover, you're kind of, you have to take on certain personas in order to fit where you're at. How did you balance that with your faith and the lifestyle of Christianity versus what you're having to do in that situation?
I didn't. No, just kidding. That's a good question, because it's hard, because you're around prostitutes in Daytona. We're around strippers. We're around drug addicts. You're around people that are at rock bottom. I worked with a guy who was a Christian. My narcotics partner was a Christian, and we wouldn't so much focus on arresting people as we would getting them help. And there was a lot of times when I'd pray for people. We'd be working with somebody and we'd find out they OD'd, they died. We'd go by the house. I'd lay a hand on them and pray for their soul. That made me feel better. I was always very nice to people, and I always thought about, what does this person need? They're at the rock bottom. When I look at a person like that, I'm looking at them like, I'm not looking at a druggie. I'm looking at a drug that's making them do that.
Right.
It's not really their fault. They tried it once and they got into it. A monster has them. So there was a lot of times when I would pray for people, and there was a lot of times when I would ask that the Lord take the demon out of them.
Right.
And we went to a house where a guy had killed some kids, making child pornography, and it was brutal, very, very bad. And maybe it was because I was a Christian, but when I walked into the house the first time to the search warrant, I got chills, just chills. Went home that night, I felt like I had the flu. Woke up the next morning fine, and we had to go back to the house. The FBI was going to come in and dig up the backyard. We're looking for bodies and stuff. And before I walked in the house, I asked the Lord to call that demon spirit out of the house, because I need to go there and do work. I went in there and I didn't feel the chills. And it's amazing how that worked. Before I got out of my unmarked car, And I specifically asked the Lord, remove the demons from the house so I can go in and get some closure for families. And I didn't have the chills, and I got through it.
Yeah.
But I think that bothered me a lot, being my faith, and seeing what he did in that garage to those kids. And it was an international operation. So, yeah, I always tried to keep the faith. I think I'm alive and sitting here today because my mom prayed for me every single day. And when I say every single day, every single day. Yeah. The worst that came out was a busted tooth from a handcuff, an open handcuff. But I look back at the things I did in the narcotics unit, the things I did on that police motorcycle. By the grace of God, I'm sitting here in the protection of prayer. So I brought faith into it a lot. You got to be careful. It sucks, but you have to be careful asking somebody who's on drugs, can I pray for you? Because that's a complaint. You know, I mean, they're going to complain, but there's nothing that says I can't pray for them in my heart later that night. So, but I think my faith kept me always doing the right thing for people. It's not only just arresting somebody. Maybe that person doesn't need to go to jail. Maybe they need rehab. They need to be turned on to the right people to get them help.
Yeah.
We stopped.
Jail's not always the answer.
No, it's not. We stopped a girl that was just strung out on crack, and you could tell talking to her, she was very educated, very, very educated. And we met her on the beach and just strung out on crack, and so we arrested her. And I'm talking to her, and we ended up helping her out. We didn't charge her, but we got her into a rehab program.
Right.
And she said, "Yeah, my dad's the governor of Kentucky." And I'm like, "Whatever." I mean, they all have a story,
Right.
Well, we got her straight. Never heard from her again. 6 months later, I get a huge plaque in the mail.
Commendation letter.
I'm a Kentucky colonel. He made me a Kentucky colonel. Her dad was the governor.
Wow.
But she just had a bad experience and came to Daytona and said, forget it all,
To the point of seeing humanity. Like, I mean,
she's way up here.
It doesn't matter.
Like, it was a boyfriend.
It's just humanity.
Yeah.
It's just, can you help?
She walked in on a boyfriend that she loved very much, and he was doing something with somebody else.
Yeah.
And off to Daytona and doing drugs, just crashed.
Wow.
Is that her fault? No. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
But we got her straight, and yeah.
How much do you think from your career? I don't know why I'm wired this way. I don't know if it's a short memory or a blessing, but I'm often reminded when I meet people that I used to work with about calls or things like that, or something will bring. I forget really easy, and I've seen enough that probably I shouldn't have seen, and I can vaguely remember it, but I don't think I've ever taken it with me. Do you feel similar, or how do you feel about that?
I don't take it with me, and it's sick humor, military. First responders understand it. You make a joke about it. You make a joke about it and move on. I saw some horrible things because I was a homicide investigator, saw some horrible things, but I don't remember them today.
Do you think that you're wired that way? Or, I mean, do you think that's do you think that's just, what do you think the explanation is? Because a lot of people are not like that.
A lot of times I would pray it. I would pray over that body. I put my hand on that body and pray over that body. And then a lot of times I would go home and take a deep breath, and then I'd ask the Lord just to remove that, like that house with the kids, just to remove that from my thoughts and memories. Not enough to where I can't testify in court, but just don't let it haunt me. Don't let it. And I think a lot of that is faith. When I would see somebody that's been killed or a horrible situation, I would also think, I'm just looking at a shell. I'm looking at the body. That soul is gone. And so I didn't really see expired people as humans, so to speak. Maybe that's kind of weird because I don't see them as humans anymore. That's a human body, but they're gone.
There's a fine line between being cold and compassionate,
right?
Walking the line in the middle, being able to do your job.
Yeah.
Because I don't want someone coming to save me or take care of me that's cold.
Yeah.
And I don't want someone overly compassionate that wants to put a Band-Aid on every single nick that I have.
Yeah.
I want that person in the middle.
Yeah.
That can help me and also be there the next time I need them and not go home and ruin their life based on my emergency.
Right.
So I've always been intrigued by friends that I've seen really struggle all the way to the worst idea of that. And then ones that probably more on my side of the line that it was just a job.
Yeah.
And I've never really been able to honestly because I've seen people with faith that I truly believe have faith struggle too. So I almost lean to the fact that it's a preconditioning. It's how you are made. You're more this type of personality.
Right.
But again, I've never been able to pinpoint it. So I've always been fascinated by people who have had a pretty spicy career.
Yeah.
And still able to process and.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably the mindset, that I knew I was going into. I always, from 5 years old, there's pictures of me. When we play cops and robbers in the neighborhood, I refused to be a robber. I wanted to be a cop. I'm 10 years old, but I always wanted to be a cop. So maybe that got in my head that I know what I'm going to see,
Maybe.
But I think faith has a lot to do with it.
I do.
I think that you can pray, Lord, lift this memory from me. Lift this, this from, yeah. I think that's, yeah.
I think there's an understanding too, and maybe it has to do with, whether you suffered personal trauma during a traumatic event or whether you were just witnessing traumatic events or coming in on the aftermath of traumatic events. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But one of the biggest things is that I've seen working here, especially, is a knowledge that the sun's going to come, like, not to be cliche, but the sun is going to come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like this is today, and it sucks, but it's not forever. And we were talking about that yesterday in staff training. It's, we were talking about suicide being a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of what drags people down into trauma, is just believing the lie that it's going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
And that's with the memories and everything too. And I think all three of us are probably very driven people that are always moving on to the next thing. And it's almost like we don't give ourselves the opportunity to just wallow in the trauma, wallow in the memories.
Right.
Like we might sit there and say, this really sucks and I'm really struggling. And then at a certain point, we're going to be like, all right, get your tail up. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go back to work. Let's go get this done. You've got responsibilities. You've got things you got to do.
People need you. You got to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get back on the timeline, I guess. So let's just say there was 22-year career. And what does life look like when you got your retirement and walked away from the police force?
So during that 22-year career, I got my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
City paid for it. As long as you made a C or above, city paid for it.
Sweet.
You can't beat that. And why not? Get a degree. But I was working, and going to school. So my lawn looked like a jungle. My house had dishes all over the place. The carpet needed to be vacuumed.
Yeah. What does personal life look like?
There,
family, things like that.
Yeah, I had time for family.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does family look like?
Because we're all mom and dad, one sister.
Okay.
And we all lived in that same area. We were 5 miles from each other.
Okay.
So there was a connect there. I kept going to church. If I wasn't working on Sunday morning, I'd be at church. Because I think that kept me grounded. And it was my church I grew up in. So I enjoyed it. I knew everybody. It was nice. So bachelor's degree during that. And then after retirement, I moved up here. Immediately moved up here. I didn't want to, Florida is hot. There are no seasons. And as a kid, I always wanted to live in the mountains where we have the possibility of snow. We've got the seasons. I always wanted that. So my wife is from Philly. I'd met her in 2000. We got married, and then I retired at 2007.
Okay.
So 7 years I was married. We were together for the last 7 years of my career. She's from Philly. That's too far north for me to move. So we just picked here. Yeah. Too cold, too busy. But we like Smith Mountain Lake area. So we moved up here. And then I got a job at Reed Saw and Tool down on Commerce Street.
Oh, yeah.
Great place to work, great people, but that was not for me. It's hard for retired cops and firefighters to be up here with adrenaline your whole career and then go deliver saw blades. And again, great company, great people, great owners, great trucks, everything. There is nothing bad to say about them, but it wasn't for me. So I was there about 6 months. I just couldn't do it. There was no challenge. And so I was a program director at Mont Technical College for criminal justice. So I did that, but I needed to be in my niche. I needed to be teaching from here, And then I started T4 Tactics in 2012. Firearms training.
Yeah.
Primarily, it started off firearms training, and then it kind of grew into active shooter response training when I saw a need for that. That's my comfort zone. That's what I know. I know how to read people and to teach people how to read people. I understand human violence. I was a hostage negotiator for most of my career, and that's a lot about learning people and emotions and what to say, how to talk to them, de-escalation. So that I think that's when I started T4 Tactics.
So,
and that's it. See you later.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people would. I mean, I'm curious about the firearm side of it, but it may not be as applicable to the whole audience. Can you dive into a little bit about the emergency preparedness response for the different people you worked with for active shooters? I know it's not just churches. It's bigger than that. And it's sad to say that in America that we need that. But I mean, I guess since the beginning of the firearms existence, we've had issues with people killing each other.
Yeah.
So it's just, it just looks different today than it did then. Can you just go off a little bit on that and just kind of let us in that world?
So I make sure that I'm not teaching fear or paranoia. I'm just giving people the education, confidence, and skill to recognize something, shut it down, and then handle it if it happens. When I was, I was a senior, so 11th or 1983, 84, somebody broke into our church and stole the sound equipment. And back then I'm thinking, who would break into a church and steal from a church? Jump forward to today, and now I'm in churches teaching them how to respond to an active shooter attack. It's amazing. It's sad. But we go into churches and a lot of people deny it. I have a lot of businesses. I had a CEO of a major corporation tell me that most of our employees are elderly people. It was a manufacturing facility. Most of them are elderly people, so we don't need active shooter training, because if we were to have an active shooter attack, the personal injury wrongful death payout will be a lot less because of their age. I'm like, wow, you're working for this guy? That's cold. That is cold. And so I didn't work with them. He didn't want it because it never happened.
That's extremely cold, but that's an impressive display of logic.
Yes. My jaw just dropped, and I said, "Okay,
you ran a lot of numbers on that."
Yeah. The payout will be less because most of our people are elderly. But the biggest thing that I get pushback on when I do training for churches is I'll get people in the congregation, but the pastor will say, we don't need that. God will protect us. And I do believe God will protect us. God protected me when I was in the narcotics unit in a house buying dope from some really bad people. When I was doing raids with search warrants on outlaw motorcycle gangs, when I was riding the motorcycle in heavy traffic, running lights and siren, God protected me. But I also believe that God gave me that training to protect myself on how to maneuver that motorcycle, how to enter that house. So I hear a lot of churches say, well, we don't have big guys and guns, so we can't have a safety team. That could be nothing further from the truth, because it's not about guns. It's about, I tell them the 82-year-old woman in the wheelchair can be on the safety team. It's communication. So it's not about, we don't want our church safety team looking like SEAL Team 6 or.
And they won't.
Yeah, exactly.
And they won't.
Exactly.
I mean.
But you'd be surprised at how many people I meet that are Navy SEALs. I never knew they turned out so many Navy SEALs and Army Rangers and Marine snipers. And you can tell by it's stolen valor. And you can tell by talking to them. But the problem is the church will believe these guys.
There's actually a statistic on that somewhere. Like there's like 33% of people that claim to be Navy SEALs are actually Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
It's something stupid.
Yeah. But the church will put their trust in that person.
Right.
And that's scary because they're not that. So, I've got businesses that are mostly in the Midwest, and they're mostly construction businesses that have safes on the property with body armor. And these are large construction companies, and they have certain guys, mostly veterans or retired cops, that are working for them as construction, whatever. But they're prepared. If this happens, you get to that safe and you go shut it down.
I think comfortability, we've said this before in different circumstances, comfortability is a killer, right? For personal growth, for you name it, being too comfortable is a killer. And I'm curious to see what you think. Church is typically a once or twice a week thing for the average person,
right?
Realistically, I'd be curious to get your personal thoughts on this matter in schools, in the school setting, which is an everyday, more regular event.
Yeah.
I have my personal ideas on it. Do you think? Just go with that. I'm curious to hear what you think about it.
So we get into a normalcy bias that it's never happened at my school, so it never will happen at my school. If you look at when we have a school shooting, hopefully we'll never have. Hopefully I'll go out of business for active shooter training. That's my goal. That there's no more need for me anymore. But if you look at the news, every time they talk about an active shooter attack, it's what happened during that attack. They never have a guest on there that talks about how this is how we could have been. This is how we could have prevented that. It's never about prevention. If you look at the school. Most of the technology now is geared at weapon identification, gunshot recognition. That's too late into it. Very seldom do schools, church, any kind of business, I just had a business here locally, a large business that called and said, we want you to come out and plan for what to do if an attack occurs. Well, why not plan to recognize it and stop it before it occurs?
Right.
And that's the threat assessment team. We set up threat assessment teams where a threat assessment team is open communication in the workplace to identify this person said something. We need to identify that. We're not looking to fire that person, or if it's a school, we're not looking to suspend that person or expel them. We're looking to pull them in and say, tell us why you said that and what's going on. Most people that become violent or become active shooters, they feel like they've been done wrong. Life has treated them wrong. They've been bullied. They haven't been treated right. That's why they're lashing out. If we can identify that person, bring them in and get them help, not discipline, help, we're just better for it. Everything's better off for it. Is people sometimes need help.
Well, yeah.
But that's the problem I see in schools. That is your question?
Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more specifically too, like financially. So when you identify somebody's vulnerability, it can be embarrassing. You can be standoffish. So in this process, you're running up against instances where you're showing people's weak spots,
right?
That you're going to come up with opposition to that. And it's also a financial adjustment to an extent, some way or the other, especially for a school. Where is the local government, the community? Where are we missing it to say, look, I think there should be metal detectors in the front of these schools.
Right.
You care when you go through the airport. It's inconvenient,
right?
But it gives you peace of mind.
Right.
It eliminates a lot of factors. There's a strong security presence there, almost overkill at times, it seems like.
Right.
There are technologies out there that are, I guess, unfortunately, privately owned businesses. So there's no government funding to be had in that deal, but like curtains in windows,
right?
Just things. And I've always heard the complaint: we don't want to turn our school systems into to be a prison.
We'd rather risk the lives.
It doesn't. And I think that's an extreme statement too, because I think there's a balance there.
It's very political.
Why?
And I hear, because when we were kids growing up, when I was a kid growing up, if the teacher disciplined, that's what it was. It was discipline. Now when a teacher disciplined, the parents come in and challenge the teacher.
Yes.
The principal challenges the teacher. The school board challenges the teacher because they don't want to ruffle feathers, because somebody will get on social media and say something. And I hear consistently that we're not going to have metal. This is not just in Lynchburg is pretty tight. Our area is pretty tight with school security, more so than what I see around the country. They could do better.
That's your opinion? Or
they could do better.
Okay.
They could do better.
Okay.
Just from what I see, from working with the local schools and other schools. Some are really tight, and others in our area need a lot of work. But I hear parents saying that we don't want metal detectors at our school because it's going to slow down my child getting into class. Well, what is a rifle coming down the hallway? Or what's a IED, at the bus stop or whatever, But a lot of it is we don't want to inconvenience anybody. We don't want to inconvenience anybody. I understand that I travel the country and I do facility reviews. And now what I'm seeing on modern buildings is it's all glass. Everything's glass. To me, that's a nightmare. You can see everybody, you can shoot everybody. But when we weigh out the possibility of we're coming to work every day, and nothing's going to happen, the possibility of an active shooter attack is down here. So I get that they want to go for comfort and visibility and openness and a relaxing atmosphere. But a lot of them just don't have any security in mind. If we're going to have open glass like that, then we need to have one room that's a secure room where you can get into if something happens. But it's frustrating with schools. I've done a lot of private schools in the area. I can't get into the public school system because I charge. I'm a private business. I'm very affordable. They're going to always revert back to law enforcement because it's free. And law enforcement is stuck on the run, hide, fight. I know from being a cop, when I was supervising the motorcycle unit, I had 9 divisions I was supervising. I don't have time to go out and do proper active shooter training. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to research it. I don't have the time to go out and do a 3-hour presentation. It makes more sense to me to go out and do a 45-minute run, hide, fight. And that's the shortcoming that I see. Is that, and law enforcement, it's in their heart. They mean well.
Sure.
They really do mean well. But law enforcement does not have the resources to send these people to all these locations and find out what went wrong and let's go fix it. It's just a quick 45-minute run, hide, fight.
I don't care if you pay for private school or you are a taxpayer and your kids go to public school, or you pay taxes and your kids go to private school. There is a budget. There should be money allocated
and there's
to
grants.
making our schools safe. And what drives me crazy, maybe you can speak on this, is how many of these schools that have had these incidences have significantly changed operating procedure after. That is mind-boggling. Right? If I go out here on this farm somewhere and have a bad incident doing something, you can best believe when I go do said thing again, I'm going to change the procedure on how I do it so I don't get hurt or someone else hurt.
Yeah.
But yet I mean, how many of these schools that have had these incidences go and do these things?
It won't happen here is the mindset. We're overreacting.
Back to your guy that was running the numbers on his employees. It's a money thing too. Not that people don't care, but there's grants for this, but somebody's got to put the time in to go do that. And if you know anything about the education system, there is no extra time. Period. Like those people they're working more than they're getting paid for,
and they're working at home. Teachers, they're doing most of their work is at home, because
they're in class all day. They're answering questions during their planning, and any of their grading that needs to get done is usually done after hours. But then you've also got, so like you mentioned, the airports way more secure than the school, but that's because if they don't keep their customers safe, they don't have customers. So they lose money. Whereas
that's so sad.
There's always going to be kids going to school because people are going to keep having kids. They're not able to put them in private school. They're going to put them in public school. It's going to continue to be this thing. And it's like, well, we can put the effort and we can put the money into it, but who's going to do it? Somebody's got to step up and be that champion and push it through. And it takes that one person doing it to make it happen. And if that person doesn't step up, then it's just like, well, we just hope it won't happen here. I mean, that's what it boils down to. They'll take measures. I mean, school Rachel's at, the doors are all locked during class, and they can black out the windows or whatever. But it's kind of that run, hide, fight.
It is. And an unfortunate thing is a lot of school resource officers. And I got to be clear, not everybody. I know some school resource officers that are dialed in. They're on the SWAT team. They are dialed in. But what I see from my career is a lot of school resource officers couldn't perform on the road, so they stick them in the school.
It's a retirement position.
It's the retirement position, or it's a position where, you're not really making it on the road. Let's hide you in this school. And I got to be careful to say, I know some school resource officers in this area that are absolutely dialed in. If something bad's going to happen, I want them there.
And that's the case for anything.
Really. Any job. But I do know is probably, it's safe to say as a whole, most of them are, you're not doing good on the road. We got to hide you. We can't fire you. We got to hide you somewhere. And that's scary.
Yeah. The systems, to me, I'm a systems guy. I'm a procedure guy. I like things to be procedural. It just takes the headache and a lot of the guesswork out of it. And to me, this is a front end problem. This is completely a front end problem. I mean, like you said, bring the people in once identified and give them help. But just like any other thing you need to get ahead of, put the systems in place that, and everybody on one side wants to attack the firearm or the weapon per se. And the others are probably on the conservative side, not politically, but just conservatively, financially, probably both. But I don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
And no solution gets had. You're going to have to spend money.
Right.
And and maybe there are steps that you can do to curtail the overwhelming epidemic of bad people getting bad weapons.
Right.
But the first murder was with a rock.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember the state. I don't know if it was Virginia or Florida, but it was something I was connected to. But somebody wanted the SROs removed because they scared the kids.
Yeah, that was what I was.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's a lot of this lack of preparation that just has to do with we don't want to incite panic.
Right.
Like we don't want everybody think they're going to get shot at school.
Well,
I loved my SRO, and he's the sheriff of the police department.
But the SROs are mentors.
Right.
I mean, if you get the right SRO in there, not only are you finding out all kind of intels on who's breaking into cars, who's dealing drugs, but you're shaking hands and being friendly, and that little kid is saying, that police officer was nice to me. Yeah. And that's it right there.
The SRO at Rachel's school is at all the football games in the student section, getting them hyped up. And he's like a hype man.
That's a great SRO.
Yeah. Shout out to Officer Cruz.
And that's exactly what an SRO should be doing is
having a pulse.
Exactly. Having a pulse and letting these kids know that's not a uniform. That's a human being in there wearing that uniform. And he cares about me. He or she knows my name. He or she is cheering me on at the sporting events. Yeah.
That's having a relationship, right? You're less likely to, like, if he's definition of what law and order is, and you have a relationship with that person, that relationship will make you do something different versus the fear of.
It goes back to the respect thing.
Yep.
You're earning the right to be heard there, so that when you speak into their life and you say, "Hey, straighten up," they're going to listen.
Yeah, because he cares about me.
That's the first place I would go. Not that I stayed in trouble, but I wasn't the best person in high school. That's the first place I would go when I was in high school if I had a problem. Yeah. Because I knew he would hear me.
That's right.
Understand me.
That's right.
And I knew he would correct me in a way, but it wasn't what I was going to get from the principal, who I probably didn't respect, or my teacher, who I obviously didn't respect because I was having an issue. Yeah. And that's my fault. But that's the first place I'd go. Yeah. And I'd know, like, I'm probably going to get in trouble, but I would want it to be from him. Yeah. Because I trust him.
Yeah. Frank DeAngelis, the principal of Columbine, the day that horrible incident occurred, I met him, and he said, students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yep. And that's what it's all about. And that's the SRO, and that's teachers, is they want to know that you care about them. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes back to police work. That's how I modeled my career. Is I want everybody I stop or come in contact with, especially in the drug unit, I care about you. But a lot of them didn't come from caring families, so they can't. Yeah, they don't understand that.
Well, and it's a different mentality too, especially like with the SROs. Your hometown, the community you said had your back,
right?
As a police officer,
right?
In a lot of the communities that those people are growing up in, or even some of the culture that we grow up in now, it's odd because you've got the criminal culture. Obviously, they're going to be concerned. Mm-hmm. There's some racial elements where there's some tension there between police officers, and then you've got the middle class, and like we'll support police officers, but at the same time, like there's this idea of trying to avoid a speeding ticket or whatever it is. And there's kind of that idea. There's always a little bit of a mistrust or a fear there.
There is,
which is kind of funny because they really don't have anything to fear. But
yeah.
But anyway,
a righteous man really shouldn't be bothered by a whole lot if you can try to be in that category.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not screwing up,
and all it takes is one cop to ruin the thought process of all cops. I was on the motorcycle unit, sitting behind a pizza place watching a traffic light, watching people run the light, which work in traffic. And here comes this kid in the pizza delivery car, and he just blows the light. I mean, just completely it was bad. So he pulls up right behind me where I was at, and I walked over and said, or he gets out and puts his ball cap on. And I said, you just completely ran that light. I didn't have any intentions on writing him a ticket. I'm just going to chew his rear end. Yeah. He's trying to make money, delivering pizza. He's not making a lot of money, but he had the word written out, F, Port Orange Police.
Oh, really?
On his spelled on his hat. Yeah.
Wow.
And he put that on before he got out of the car?
Yeah. For me to see it. And this is before body cameras and stuff. So I punched him in the face. No, just kidding. This is before body cameras.
1987, baby.
That's right. I choked him out and left. I don't think he's been seen since. But I said, look, just slow down. And I said, can I ask you about your hat? I'm not going to write you a ticket, and you're free to leave. Can I ask you about the hat? And he says, F you, I can't stay in the police, blah, blah, blah. So about an hour later, I'm at the Circle K getting something to drink, and here he comes. He puts on the hat. And I said, hey, nothing for nothing. And I got to talking to him, and he said that he's been stopped twice by the same officer, and this officer I have a problem with. Mm-hmm. Nobody liked this officer. He didn't like other officers. He's just a nasty person. And that was an eye-opener for me. The only contact he's had with police is this nasty officer, and that nasty officer has treated him horrible. No wonder why he went out and got the hat, because he saw us all like that. Mm-hmm. And so, long story short, at the end of our conversation, he takes the hat and throws it in the trash can right there, and he goes, I got it. I understand. Problem solved,
That's cool.
But it was that one guy that made him go out and spend money on a hat.
And it's universal. My goodness. It's universal.
I mean, it is.
You pick the profession. You pick the hobby. Right. And it's human beings. The religion. It's human beings.
Right.
Back to I was thinking when you were talking about blowing the speed light or the traffic light, as a dad in this program, with work in different places in my life, it doesn't always work, but how important the explanation is to a problem for me now as I get older is super important. Mm-hmm. So being willing to, especially in law enforcement, probably is getting to the explanation of why. In his mind, he blew it because he's trying to make money, get somewhere faster.
He's got pizza to deliver.
He probably never gave a second thought that there could have been a mom and a kid walking across the street or in the car, minding their own business. And I'll be honest, you don't think about a lot of that stuff until you're grown, you're married, you have kids, life matters more. Right. Life has more weight to it. So giving people the benefit of the doubt and giving them the explanation, you can still give them the ticket. You can still punish them, give them the consequence. Mm-hmm. But I think 9 times out of 10, you deserve the explanation if you're the one dishing it out with my kids. Because I've been in situations where I didn't know the why behind it. And maybe if I'd have known the why, it would have made the punishment a little easier to swallow or made me not do it again in the future. Because, buddy, have you given, in the way you deliver it matters, have you given two seconds of thought to think that, last week I was in the same intersection and someone got killed here because someone blew the light. Mm-hmm. The fact that you blew the light in itself is not the end of the world tonight. Mm-hmm. But it could have been. Right. And you could have killed somebody. Yeah. That's going to change your life and their life forever. Right. It's not about the ticket and it's not about me chewing your butt. Yeah. It's giving you a little bit of forward thinking to say, holy crap, this is bigger than just what I think it is. When that light turns red, it's turning green for somebody else. Right. Or it's turning green for the crosswalk. Right. And this was right around 2 of our biggest city parks. Yeah. And there's kids in that area. And in our mind, on a daily basis, we think it's an inconvenience. Right. You are inconveniencing me. Right. You're stopping me. You're costing me money. Yeah. But I did a incorrect thing. Right. Whatever that consequence is, I'm going to have to deal with. But I think for me, getting the why, helping me see a different why is important. Mm-hmm. And I try to use that here and in my own life and in my kids' life. It's hard, but.
So, funny story, real quick, to show the absolute opposite of that. Because
that's why we're both on here.
So when I was working in Georgia, right, there was an intersection on a pretty major highway on my way home, and I knew that the Georgia State Patrol sat there on a regular basis. I pull up to this, I come to the stop sign, I stop. I make sure that my momentum completely stops, and then I pull off and go on my way. And here comes Georgia State Patrol. Right?
They don't play.
No,
I watch them online.
They
They
don't
are
play at
That's
all.
like Florida Highway Patrol.
To the
They,
bone.
they don't play at all. So this guy stops me, right? Young officer. I won't say anything more other than that. Young officer, he gets out and he comes up to my window and he said, "You know why I stopped you?" I said, "No, not really." Because I wasn't speeding. I
Yeah.
knew I came to a stop. I
Right,
was like,
right.
"Nope." He said, "Well, you rolled through that stop sign." I said, "No," and it's dark. Like there's nobody around.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's the middle of freaking nowhere, Georgia. It's like you could have seen a car coming from 3 miles away. It's not like there was no danger here. I could have rolled through that stop sign and never stopped. It would have mattered.
Yeah.
Right. I said, "No, I definitely didn't. I made sure I came to a stop because I know you guys watched that intersection." He said, "Well, you need to stop and count to 3 before you pull off." He writes me a ticket.
Wrote you a ticket?
He wrote me a ticket. I was like,
wow.
How do you defend that in court? Is there a 3-second stop and count to 3 law?
No.
Yeah, you can't defend that in court.
It's his word against your word. I mean,
Jeez.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Like,
Pay it out of court and they get their little money and
yeah, that's the
wow. That's a hard pill to swallow.
So I'm not a huge fan of Georgia State Patrol,
Yeah.
but I know they're not all like that.
right.
you met the one.
I met
Wow.
the one.
And
I
you
met the
know
one.
you stopped. That would irritate me.
So,
I don't know.
So there's a funny joke about that.
Oh.
that I don't always get to tell jokes, but there was a cop doing this very scenario, so I'll skip the front part of it. So he pulls the guy over, and he goes, the guy in the wrong goes, "Well, I kind of slowed down. At least I slowed down and made the turn." The cop pulls out his billy stick and just starts wailing on him. He goes, "All right, I'll give you an option. Do you want me to come to a complete stop or slow down?"
Slow down.
and that's what I always think about because my not biological Uncle Cabbage that comes up with Dad sometimes looks like Santa Claus.
Uncle Cabbage.
Dave Stewart. There was this one the little place right by the old Honda dealership that they tore down that cut through where you can bear right and go to Sheets.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he got at least a few tickets right there. My dad always used to tell me because everybody blows through that. You look left and blow through.
No, it's coming.
And they used to sit there. Back when it was more parking lot stuff there. So, but that joke always makes me. You mean to come to a complete stop or just slow down?
Wow. I never heard the 3-second rule. You should have went back when he was sitting there, rolled down your window and stopped. What? Mississippi? Just yell it out.
So bad.
Wow.
So bad. All right, so T4 Tactical, we got.
Yeah,
we got 20 minutes. We're good.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
let's advocate for T4 tactics. Like, who needs it? Why do they need it? What does it look like? I think there's offshoots to that too. Is there not? Or am I making that up?
Yeah. So we do firearms training. I teach people that the last thing you want to do is shoot somebody. That's your last. You carry a firearm, but that's your last resort. You go verbal. Physical if you have to, you retreat, but that's the last thing you want to do. So we teach safe, reasonable, responsible, legal gun owners. And then we do the multi-state class. The multi-state class is going to be important with our new governor coming up, AG and oh boy, and the lieutenant governor. They're going to attack the Second Amendment. They're going to attack our gun rights. And so there's an attorney, Tim Anderson is an attorney out of Richmond. He's dialed in with all these gun laws. He was a delegate. Now he's a firearms attorney. And he's saying that the Virginia permit will probably go down to the single digit reciprocity. So it goes from 32 states to maybe single digits. So the Utah multi-state we teach is good for 42 states right now. And it fluctuates, so don't hold me to that. It goes about to 42 states. But if Virginia was to mess with reciprocity, there's a good chance that Utah permit would kick in. I got Utah and still travel concealed. So that's keeping us really busy right now since the election. My T4 Tactics goes in peaks and valleys. When the girl got her throat slit on the train in Charlotte, I got really busy. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I got really busy. The election, really busy with Utah. Then people get under their nice, warm, fluffy blanket that it's not going to happen again. But we do active shooter training for any type of facility. I never talk about who I've trained because I don't want to put a target on their back, but we've done, how can I say this? The biggest outdoor sports spectating event in Northern America. I had a year-long contract with them. But we've done food companies, manufacturing companies, anything, churches, schools, convenience stores. I did a chain with 780 convenience stores. So we don't teach. I focus on prevention. And then we do talk about if it was to happen, here's how your body's going to react at 185 beats per minute. Here's fight or flight. You're going to probably defecate and urinate in your pants. I mean, we let them know everything. So there's no surprises.
Well, as you know, and from some of our backgrounds, like you fall back on your greatest level of training.
That's right.
And carryover with this stuff is probably minimal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is with everything else I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Unless you're just passionate about the thing. If you're bringing in an expert to teach you, you're probably not passionate or overly passionate about things. So carryover is going to be minimal. Yeah. So the prevention, the front end, is way more important than
huge.
You're not going to train with this. You're going to freak out just like everybody else is going to freak out probably. So will it kick in? No, it's not there to kick in.
Yeah. We talk about freezing and how people freeze. And you could get the highest trained Navy SEAL, any type of military, me, and I'm ready for active shooter. It's what I do. We're going to freeze because there's going to be that. Now it's our level of training is how long we freeze.
Right.
But there's going to be, if we were sitting here now and we heard boom, 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 we're going to look at you and say, is that gunfire? What is that?
Yeah, you're
freezing.
Data collection and processing.
Exactly.
Someone else's freeze is like stuck.
And they're denying it.
Right.
That's not gunfire. It's a car backfiring. They're practicing firearms out back. Somebody dropped something. I hear that all the time with people I've interviewed all the time. I've gone to 17 locations of active shooter attacks, and I've interviewed 91 people, all at separate times. I'll take them out to breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, whatever. And every single person, all 91 of those people, every single person within our usually hour and a half conversation where they're telling me about the attack, and it's law enforcement too, they all say, I never thought it would happen here, never thought it would happen to me. They all said that at one time during a conversation. I didn't think it would happen to me. We get in that normalcy and that's what we're talking about with schools and stuff, is we don't think it'll happen here. We've never had an active shooter attack in Lynchburg, so we won't ever have one. And we get in that normalcy bias. And then we do de-escalation training. That's customer service 101. I've been to some absolute disasters where people have been killed, convenience stores. And I look at the tapes and listen to the tapes and like that, it just failed to de-escalate. Just de-escalate that customer and you go home for the night.
Have you ever, is that strictly like traumatic events, or surely that applies to business, like just business.
Yeah. Here's an example.
Do you use it in just business?
Yeah.
Okay.
De-escalation. Yeah.
Yeah, like with an HR team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go out and do reunification for places that have had horrible attacks. We come in and we say, you got to repaint this room. You got to move everything around, because if we have survivors come into the workplace and it's the same place, we're going to take them back to that bad memory. So I went to the particular convenience store up north. A guy comes up, and they had problems with him before. The guy comes up, and he's going to buy this drink. He's already been drinking from it, and the clerk needs it to scan it. So the guy holds it out with the barcode like this. Well, the clerk goes to reach for it. He doesn't want to give it to him, and so the clerk, they're going back and forth. Is it important? You can scan it. I don't have to hold it. But the clerk went back and forth, back and forth. Guy sits the drink on the counter, knocks some stuff off the counter, takes out a gun, boom, boom, 2 in the chest to the clerk, reaches over, 1 in the head, and goes to leave. Why not just de-escalate? He's showing you the barcode, scan it. But the clerk was stuck on, I'm going to take it from him and scan it and then give it back to him. What difference does it make? That cost him his life. Because the clerk wanted to hold the drink to scan it. And the guy's like this with the barcode. And it's a failure to de-escalate. What the thing we have to remember is we can tuck our tail and tuck our ego. I want to go home at night. I don't want to get shot over, I think it was a Mountain Dew or a soft drink. Oh, is it really worth it? Just talk to the people.
No history between those two guys.
There was history with the guy coming in, and he would come in and aggravate the clerks. So the red flag was already there. Here he comes. Let's just not aggravate this guy. He's trying to aggravate you. So just scan it, and he's willing to pay for it. He just didn't want the clerk holding it, and the clerk needed to hold it.
I think that, I guess what I was trying to say earlier is, yeah.
What do I tell you all the time? Do you want to be right or do you want to be married?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to be right or do you
Yeah.
want to live?
Yeah.
And that's a good,
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting ready to like lead into is I think it has a place in those high problematic areas, but
Yeah.
I think that's a skill set that T4 Tactics should look at presenting as a normal thing, like just a practice. I can't think of exactly how I'm trying to say it, but like that's something that could be packaged and taken to an organization and say, you have a lot of life experience, right? You've got a lot of life experience in de-escalating very big situations. Teach the average Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it doesn't result in someone pulling a gun and shooting the clerk, but that clerk that boss should want that clerk to de-escalate that situation. So that customer comes back and he spends money at the store.
Right.
You can recruit.
It's customer service.
It's customer service.
Well, and the reason, and that de-escalation is very popular with businesses right now. What we don't want somebody to do is come into our business. We can't de-escalate them because of our ego or too much testosterone. We can't de-escalate them. They go out in the parking lot, get something, come back in and harm people. Or they leave mad and they go home and start stewing on it. Now they're in the developmental stages of an active shooter just because we didn't de-escalate them. I don't teach businesses to be a punching bag to the customers. That's not what it's about. Management needs to step in and say, you know what, time out. You're out of here. Trespass warning. Don't come back. But if we can work with people and de-escalate them and find out just what's wrong, let's just talk and tell me what's wrong. What did our company do to make you mad? I'll fix it.
a lot of people don't,
But they won't. They
don't have that or haven't been taught
If
that
it's
life
not on
skill.
text, or if I can't send it to you in Snapchat, I can't communicate. That's what we're seeing now.
I think there's
you can't
a
communicate.
need for that in the regular world, not just
Communication. Just speak to people. Show them respect.
And that kind of goes back to the whole they won't care how much you know until they know how much you care thing, because the whole text and Snapchat and all that, it's communication without having to respond.
Right.
It's communication without having to care about where the other person is.
Right.
It's just putting it out there and they can't do anything to you.
Right.
They're on the
Or
other
social
end of the
media.
phone.
Yeah.
What are they
Social
gonna
media.
do?
You're on the other side of the
You
country.
can say whatever you want, Facebook bullies or whatever, but you've got these the whole thing of being able to de-escalate a situation is typically showing that other person that you care about them.
That's all it is.
And letting them know, hey, I see you, I hear you.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
how can I help? But in order to do that, you've got to be willing to say, this person's well-being is more important than my pride. It's more important than my ego.
That's what it is.
And this whole situation, I can be in control of it if I just be a little bit self-sacrificial here and say, hey, let me help you.
Right. I look at it and when I teach it, I teach it like you're getting into their head and they don't know you're getting into their head, but you're going to win them over.
Right.
Wow, I like this guy. And we teach, watch your body language, watch your voice tone. And when they're telling you a problem, don't do this or don't look at your phone because you just showed them you're losing them. I teach it on the basis of it's hostage negotiation 101. How am I going to get this person to like me where I can now start telling them, okay, we're going to fix your problem and I like them and they like me. Yeah, you're right. It's drop the ego, Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Just communication.
It translates over to the boardroom and the in the water cooler and all that stuff. That's my point. Like, I think we all need a dose of that. I don't know how it's delivered. I don't know if it's T4 Tactics business division or what, but I think it's a very important skill that we're losing.
I'm finding businesses now are not so much. The active shooter portion of my business is still busy, but it's more businesses are wanting me to come in and teach de-escalation, customer service 101. It's what it is. It's customer service. We gotta be careful because we don't want to let the employee become a punching bag.
No.
To where you're just getting beat up.
No.
And I do tell management, there needs to be a time where a manager will step in and say, this is enough. You're going to have to leave. We're not getting anywhere with de-escalation. Because some people you just can't win with them.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a time where we have to realize that and walk away. But at least we've made an effort.
We deal with quite a bit of that here.
I mean, I think that's the ultimate getting out in front of it.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate of getting out in front of it, is addressing the people problem.
Right.
And avoiding that.
Yeah.
That causes whatever to happen after that.
Right.
Showing the respect. treating people like humans, and
That's
teaching
all people
people
want.
how to conversate and get to an
And it could be such a simple matter that the business did that they don't know they did. Well, just listen to somebody and let's fix it.
the explanation like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Wow. What are we missing? We got a few more minutes.
I got a good police story for you because we had talked about it.
Yeah,
before.
let's stop end on that.
I'm a rookie. And this was with South Daytona when I first started. I only been on the job like 8 months, and so I get all the bad calls, the dead bodies that have been in the mobile homes for months, when the air conditioning's off, and it's
I am familiar.
They look like Jabba the Hutt when you walk in, but so we have a train that runs over somebody, and just it's meatloaf. It's just it's bad. It's really bad. So
you said it's a good police story.
Yeah, it gets good. It gets good because the rookie wins in the end.
Okay.
So I'm having to pick up stuff and all the the stripes and the bars and the experience are watching me, and I'm having to do all this stuff. Well, they clear the train. Investigation's over. Detectives came out. They clear the train, and I'm sitting in the police car right next to the tracks. All the media and all the bigwigs and the sergeants and stuff that made me do all that horrible stuff are just standing in front of me. Fire department comes over and just washes down the tracks just to kind of get the blood, away. Here comes another train, and they've opened up the tracks. 45 miles an hour is coming by. I'm sitting in the police car, windows rolled up. That train comes by and picks up, because of the mist, picks up all that blood and debris and throws it all over them and all over my police car. And I'm like, I turn on the windshield wipers, and all I see is they're just disgusting. And I'm like, the rookie wins. I was in my car because I had to do all the paperwork, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful I wasn't standing there.
It's like
I'd be
Jurassic Park moment.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah,
they're
good to be a rookie that day.
Yeah, you should start writing your book. I always recommend someone like you. I have less service, than you do, but I mean, someone like you should definitely start putting pen to paper. I think
I need to with all my stories.
Yeah, for your generations after you and family. But so if someone needed de-escalation training. Did you say something about T4 Medic the other day, or am I making that up?
T3 Medic.
T3 Medic.
That's a completely different business.
All right.
Yeah, and that's Suzanne Coleman. She does T3 Medic, but she does stop the bleed, CPR, AED, choking mechanisms. Yeah. I really push concealed carry people to get stop the bleed certification in CPR, because if we have to use our firearm, we're not trying to kill that person. We're trying to stop the threat. And once I feel confident that person that I just put down is not a threat, I need to go over and save their life. Stop the bleed, CPR. That's going to make me look like a saint in court.
Sure.
This person's coming at you with fire in their eyes, with a knife or a gun, and you stop because they're wanting to kill me, and I stop them, and then they're down, and I go over and save their life.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be reasonable. We need to be able to show that we're reasonable gun owners. We're not trying to kill anybody, but if they're doing something, we got to stop the threat.
So if they wanted to get any of these services and they needed to find you, where?
Website.
Website?
Yeah, they go to my website. It's T4 Tactics. So it's the letter T, the number 4 Tactics.com.
We'll try to put a link up. Jonas is helping me with that as we progress here. So we'll try to put a link up to that.
I'm a one-man show, so they'll talk directly to me, only to me. That's what people say, well, you gotta get some employees to help you. I don't want to. I want to know if a client is told something, it's come from me, and I can stand behind it. I just feel better that way.
Yeah. So like full disclosure, like my mom has been through, and her friends have been through the program to acquire a gun permit, and nothing but positive things to say. Super supportive, male or female. It doesn't matter if you're a gun owner, young or old. It's a good service. So I can definitely speak to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have a need for one of these services, obviously today was a little bit more colorful, and we touched on some hard topics, which we're going to do on this podcast, but that's life, right? And that's what we deal with. So please check out Marko's business, and if he can help you guys or your business, I would highly encourage you to look into that. And maybe we'll try to get you back on it some other time and tell some more stories.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Did you hit record, or did you forget to hit record?
Oh, no. There's always that. Yeah, I'd like to talk about more de-escalation stuff one day, because that's fascinating. Yeah. So, Jake, you got any closing comments or anything?
No, man. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
It's been fun. It's good information. Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Would you give the guest always an opportunity to pray us out? No pressure.
Absolutely.
If you want to pray us out?
Yeah. Lord, we want to give thanks to this opportunity that I had to not only share faith, but to support an amazing organization here today. We ask that our word be taken positively, no harm, no foul to anybody. And we ask that you be with us throughout the day, be with us throughout our lives so we can mentor people and do what you want us to do. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jonas.
Yeah, and catch us next time on the next. We'll try to get one now that we're back through the holiday. We'll get another one in potentially next week. And if you're watching this and we have reached out to you to be on Tall in the Saddle podcast, please get back with us so we can have you on as a guest. And we love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Thanks.